Good morning, Scallywag Spoo here, and welcome to Frivolous Facts. Useless information. It's a lot like people who make the news in Florida. Because I absolutely love Florida people news stories. I mean, I love useless information. I guess technically I love both. If you saw last week's episode, then you know that we did some fun, weird movie facts. And of course, I absolutely love movies. Duh. So last week was a lot of fun for me, and hopefully for you as well. But in other words, we're doing it again. So I'll shut up now. And then I guess technically I'll start talking again, except this time I'll be talking about the stuff that the video is about. But okay, here we go. Arguably, one of the most pointless expenditures from a movie's budget was for the set of All the King's Men. If you're not familiar with that film, then the set that we're talking about was the Washington Post's offices. They spent a whopping $450,000, that's $2 million when adjusted for inflation, to create an exact replica of the Washington Post offices, all the way down to the trash in the trash cans. And what's insane is when you take into account the fact that the majority of the desks that you're seeing are like way off in the background, and even the ones that are in the forefront, you're not looking in the trash. So none of that stuff is ever going to be seen up close. I mean, I can think of a hell of a lot better ways to spend $2 million. And is it bad that I can't stop thinking about what kind of trash they had in these exact replica trash cans? These are the thoughts that keep me awake at night. Toy Story 2 may not be the best in the franchise, but did you know that it was almost completely lost? During post-production, while they were putting the finishing touches on the film, somebody apparently entered like the wrong code in the master animation machine, which just sounds like so sinister and I love it. It kind of reminds me of the MCP from Tron. And this wrong code ended up deleting 90% of the movie. But hey, it's cool, it's Pixar, we got backups. Well, normally that'd be true, except all the backups failed. It was just gone. Fortunately, some random Pixar employee with OCD had a backup copy on their desk computer, and they ended up only losing about half a day's worth of work. So the next time somebody makes fun of me for being overly organized, just saying, I really hope that employee got a pretty hefty raise. I could probably do an entire video on little weird things from behind the scenes on the movie Titanic. Let's just say there were a few mistakes that made it into the final product. But one of those mistakes was actually fixed for the 10th anniversary director's cut. And the funny thing is, it was all because of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Sure, Rose's beauty mark can kind of move around her face. Jack's suspenders can appear and disappear. But when NDT informs you that the constellation that Rose looks at while she's floating on that infamous door is wrong, you fix that shit like yesterday. James Cameron did fix a few other little things for the 10th anniversary DVD, but well, he left a lot in too. Speaking of Titanic, like I said, whole video, there was one little thing that happened that, well, we could cover here on a Tuesday or a Thursday during a series of enigmatic events. Be sure to tune in. When the entire cast was poisoned and no one has a clue who did it. After filming had wrapped one night, everyone was enjoying this nice celebratory meal when all of a sudden people started feeling a little strange. A little ill, even. Turns out that somebody had spiked the food with PCP! Too bad they didn't get the cameras rolling for that! I mean, if nothing else, it would have made the movie a hell of a lot more interesting. Billy Zane sold Rose to the devil. Jack just picked up a lifeboat full of kids and just started throwing it around. All in glorious 3D! In the original script for Back to the Future, the time machine was a refrigerator, and Marty was a movie bootlegger. And I really don't have anything else to say about that. You always hear the phrase, "It was a different time." That statement is no more true than when talking about the making of The Wizard of Oz. You see, the studio was afraid that Judy Garland wouldn't be able to maintain her girlish figure while doing the movie. You know, because of reasons. So it was decided that Judy would be put onto a very special and very specific diet, consisting of chicken soup, coffee, and 80 cigarettes a day. To put that in perspective, that's 4 packs of cigarettes a day, and she was only 16. But it was a different time. Now you hear how stupid that sounds? Back in the day, Animal House was an instant classic, and it launched John Belushi to superstardom. But it was almost a totally different movie. Originally titled Laser Orgy Girls, the movie was about Charles Manson in high school. And for the life of me, I have no idea why the studios passed on that. In The Big Lebowski, the word dude is said 161 times. One form of the F-bomb or another is dropped a total of 292 times. The dude himself says man a total of 147 times, which averages out to about 1.5 times per minute. And indeed, the dude abides. You know the scene in E.T. where Elliot gets a cut and then E.T. reaches over with its little glowing finger and goes, ouch, and heals him? Ever wonder why he says ouch when he does that? I mean, obviously it's because Elliot got cut, so, ouch. But it's actually because the movie was originally going to be a horror film called Night Skies, about aliens that kill people with their fingertips. Okay, so actually it probably is because Elliot got a cut and just ouch, it looked like it hurt, but all the stuff about Night Skies, the killer aliens, the fingertips, that's all true. And oddly enough, the script for Night Skies was kind of cut in half. Half became E.T. and the other half somehow became Poltergeist? Which, seeing as how Poltergeist was based on an old episode of The Twilight Zone, how is that possible? But no, really, I've always wondered that. I genuinely want to know how that works. The New Mutants was released 1,145 days after it started shooting. And if you've seen the film, then you know that they probably could have waited a few thousand more to release it. Or, they could have just, never released it. That would have been fine too. It's not very good. Every year, the Sundance Film Festival is a way for independent filmmakers to show off their films in the hopes that a studio will buy it. And this past year, the record for the highest amount paid for a movie at the Sundance Film Festival was broken by a total of 69 cents, when Hulu bought the Andy Samberg time loop comedy Palm Springs for a grand total of $17,500,000.69. Before that, Birth of a Nation actually held the record, but Palm Springs beat that record by a total of 69 cents. And that had to be intentional somehow, because 69 cents next to $17 million just looks ridiculous. Robin Williams was a true gem, and his loss will be felt for all of eternity. And while that alone could be the factor that we go with, it's not the one that we're going with. What we are going with is that his ad-libbing was something that he was well known for, and something that we all cherish. So here are a couple of ad-libbing facts about Robin Williams. First of all, when they were making Mrs. Doubtfire, they just kind of let him go. To such an extent, in fact, that the people that made the movie now claim that there is enough footage that they could make a G-rated version, a PG-rated version, a PG-13, and R, and even an NC-17 rated Mrs. Doubtfire. Secondly, when Steven Spielberg was making Schindler's List, he asked Robin Williams to come in and kind of just tell some jokes and do some stuff to help keep people's spirits up in between takes. Kind of keep up the morale of the cast and crew, if you will. And apparently, a lot of the jokes that he came up with during these little impromptu sets would actually go on to become some of the most quotable lines of Robin's from the movie Aladdin. We miss you, Robin. Come back to us, please. With the way that the world has been the last couple of years, I think it's safe to say that we all could use a little more Robin Williams in our lives. Godspeed, good sir. Every frame of CGI in the movie Avatar, which breaks down to literally 1/24th of a second for each frame, took an average of 47 hours to render. And seeing as James Cameron is making like 7 more of these movies at the same time, we can expect part 2 out in about 47 years. And lastly, The Breakfast Club. Ah, The Breakfast Club. It's my favorite movie of all time. And it's another one that I could literally do an entire video on, if not 2 or 3 videos. As a matter of fact, I might at some point. The fact alone that the original cut of the film was intended to be 2.5 hours long, just talking about the stuff that was cut from the movie, that could be a video in and of itself. There is actually a completed director's cut, if you will, version of the film, but only one copy exists. John Hughes' widow has the copy. And if there is any good in the world, you will release it to us so that we can cherish it and love it forever. Please? Oh, right. Okay, so facts. Yeah, I'll give you a couple to kind of finish things off. Judd Nelson actually went to a local high school for like 2 or 3 weeks before they started shooting just to get into character. He actually befriended a few people and even bought them beer with his fake ID. Fake in quotes because he was 24 at the time. And then he would have them drop him off at this fancy hotel where the cast was staying. Basically, he told them that his dad was in jail and that while he was in jail, this is where he was staying. And finally, one of the greatest scenes in all of movie history. The scene where the Breakfast Club is kind of sitting in the circle talking about, why they're in detention. That scene was not in the script. John Hughes basically just told them to improvise the entire scene, and that's what we got. And that's why the movie is so just absolutely beautiful. I still want to know what the naked lady says, though. And that's gonna wrap it up. Leave your favorite frivolous facts in the comments below. In the meantime, be sure to follow us across all of our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. We share a collectible of the day on all 3 of those so you can see all this stuff that's behind me in nice, wonderful detail. And as long as you're here, do the YouTube stuff. Comment, like, share, subscribe. And then once you do that, pop on over to www.geekycool.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things nerd. I mean, we are talking about articles, news, opinion pieces about movies, comics, TV, stuff going back to like the 1940s, stuff that's happening right now. You name it. If it's something that, nerdy people like, it's on there. I know. I've seen it. They even do a live broadcast every single Tuesday night. I'm on there myself sometimes. And the show is completely interactive, so we would love for you to join us as well. Go show some love. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them here on YouTube. And once again, it's www.geekycool.com. Go show some love. Tell them Scallywag sent ya. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Oh, bye.